it was the first thing I made where I was like, wow, like I feel like I could do more of this stuff. These two pieces are signed by Tony Baxter. I had him sign that one a couple of years ago, and then he signed this one this year because he worked on both of those attractions. And then I actually gave him one of these as well, one of the Brer Rabbits. So he has the Brer Rabbit in his house on display. So that
cool
I'm
is
really
that?
proud of that one.
Two dads on a mission, chasing magic through the parks. From rope drop to the fireworks, lighting up the dark. Yeah, we're the wildest dads in the wilderness on the ultimate ride. Buckle up, the adventure starts tonight.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome into the wildest dads in the wilderness. I'm Caleb, got my good buddy Landon with me. As always, we're a couple of dads who like to talk about Disney World, the theme parks, the cruises, anything Disney related. And that's where we've got our guy Derek with us today from the Satisfactual Sign company. Derek, how are you, sir?
I'm doing good. I'm not in the hospital, so that's a good thing. So
There you go. You've had a streak of bad luck lately, it seems like.
Yeah, well, I don't know if it's bad luck, but it's something, that's for sure. So
Well, yeah, we're happy to have you on.
yeah, thank you guys.
So, dude, as we discussed before we got on we're full blown summertime right now. I think all of us are dealing with a little bit of heat going on in
I'm
our
dying.
as you would call recording studios. I'm in the garage with a fan between my legs. I know that you said your AC is going out up in your studio, and it's a sufferfest right now. Trying to make it through the episode.
Yeah, Florida summer it's no joke. It's no joke down here.
Yeah, I like to talk about Alabama summers, but Florida definitely has Alabama beat. Yeah, Florida definitely got
Yeah,
Alabama
I don't know
beat,
how people vacation. Like, how do people vacation down here in Florida in the middle of summer? Like, it's like 106 heat index or something. I'm like, I don't know.
Well, so I used to absolutely love the heat. Bragged about it. I complain too much when it's cold, so I have to love the heat. But I was on the couch all last summer with the injury, so we raced this past Saturday, and then Sunday I got outside and cut the grass, and I came back inside and I told my wife, I was like, I've lost it. The heat's absolutely got me stomped in the mud, like sitting on the couch for 3 months last year. June, July, August. I just am not prepared anymore for this heat, and it's taking a toll on me already. And we are just now in the beginning stages of it, so it might be a long summer in the Fancher household for sure.
Yeah, no kidding. And Landon's got him a September Disney trip plan, so he's going to go be miserable down there.
It's be hot, yeah.
In a little bit.
It'll still be hot in September, but it won't be July hot.
That's true.
So,
I've never experienced the Orlando July August heat. Never been a part of that. I've heard it's absolutely tough one.
yeah, you just stay inside. Like July and August, like locals, we're good. Like, y'all enjoy the parks. Like, you can have the parks for the next couple of months. Like, we're good. So
Not even heading out that direction.
I can imagine. All right, Derek. So we were talking about scrolling through your Instagram. I had to scroll through there to find your name. You posted on your story to always get cruise insurance, and I need you to talk me into it because I'm about to go on the Disney Wish here coming up. I didn't even see the option, so walk me through this.
I'll walk you through the cruise.
Yeah,
you
walk
want me
me
to
through,
talk?
like-
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Tell me where did you get your
cruise
cruise insurance?
Yeah, cruise insurance.
And I wish I had my little book here somewhere. I bet you it's up here. But I have my little golden book that I made. But get cruise insurance. Like, if you are going on a cruise, I am a walking embodiment of why you should get cruise insurance. And luckily I did. But as you guys know, I was on a cruise a little over a month ago. And on the Disney Treasure, or not Disney Treasure, Disney Destiny. I apologize. The Destiny. And 3 days in, gallbladder just decided out of the blue that it was going to just give me absolute incredible pain. And one of the things, and this is another thing I will say, is the walk from the Destiny to Lookout Key is miserable when you have gallstone issue. Have you ever seen the pier? It's like it's like a half a mile. It's like, and so I decided, me being, I guess I was like, oh, this is just gas pain. I was like, just gas pain. I'm going to walk this pier. I'm going to just be a total, I'm going to be a man. I'm going to walk this pier and maybe it'll kind of work itself out. By the time I got over there, I was miserable. And, I got in the ocean for about 10 minutes and I was like, I got to go back to the boat. But anyways, long story short, I ended up in the infirmary of which is a place not many people have probably been. I got to stay in an ICU bed, which is a very exclusive bed on the Disney Destiny.
Very special.
It's a very,
Now,
very
is it any bigger than the staterooms? Like, did you upgrade it all?
Actually, it had a lot of room.
There you go.
And I was also being treated to morphine. Not treated to it, but because I was miserable. I was just absolutely miserable.
Any Disney decorations? Any Mickey Mouses on the wall at all, or is it just white walls and medical supplies and it's time to get business?
It is like 100% medical supplies everywhere. Like it is like, it's what you would expect. Like it looks like a hospital,
Yeah.
And the funny thing was that both of the nurse and the doctor were both from South Africa. And super great. They were great, but they ended up having to talk to the captain, they turned the ship away from where we were, our course. We were headed kind of back toward Florida to go back to the Bahamas. The entire ship, like they were like, oh great, we're gonna have to turn around and go to Nassau and leave you in Nassau basically because you got to get off of this this ship because of some number, I don't know, some number with my blood count or something was way high. And so this was overnight. So the next morning, everyone wakes up and we're like just chilling outside Nassau, and all these people are in like there's a WhatsApp group and stuff, and they were like, "Why are we at Nassau? Like, what is going on? Like, is something wrong with the ship?" And so I commented literally to the group and was like, "It's me, guys," and nobody believed me. I was like, "It's me, guys. They're leaving me here." Nobody believed me. And so they finally got us to the port, took me off on the stretcher. And the number one thing, and this is going to be forever etched in my brain, is like me on a stretcher looking up at the side of the Disney Destiny and just hundreds of people staring at me, like just hundreds of people hanging over the rails.
The football, like thumbs up when they roll somebody off on the football stretcher. Like, all right. And
so the crazier thing was, I have a fairly decent sized Instagram following. And so quite a few of them were on board. And I had met some of them while I was on board and stuff. One of them sends me a message with a picture of me on the stretcher and was like, "Is that you, bro?" And I was like, "Yep, that's me." Like I kind of felt like that thing played through my head of like my son was joking about it, but like the where it's like, "Well, I bet you're wondering how I ended up here," or whatever, the whole So anyways, then I ended up in Nassau, and then I got to take an ambulance ride through. It was crazy. Like I can't even like make it up. It's so crazy. They took me through this ambulance ride through Nassau to go to the airport. And I thought I was going to die in the ambulance. Like it was like Mr. Toad's Wild Ride. Like it was like I was like rolling around and like, just trying to hang on. And like, I was still miserable, and then like I was telling you guys before we started filming, then they had Captain Ron like flying the plane from like Nassau. This guy, like, he was like he just looked like they pulled him off a boat or something. I don't know, and he's like, we're going back to Florida. I'm like, yeah, just get me back to Florida. So, so long story short, I don't have a gallbladder anymore. That's where we ended up at eventually.
Missed half your cruise.
I did miss it, but I left. So my wife and the kids stayed on board. I get a text from my son. It's like, "Hey, I'm like a celebrity on board because I'm the guy. I'm the kid whose dad got the cruise ship turned around or something like that." So it worked out for him, I guess. But
I did not.
For me,
it
was a little bit
dropped
different.
off in the Bahamas. I did not realize that they turned course there.
Yeah,
I mean,
they had to talk to the captain, like plot a new course. They sent there was a guy that came down from the bridge to talk to them and like find out if it was, they were like calling people on shore to make sure it was like medically necessary and stuff. Like there was all kinds of like crazy things they were doing. So it was a whole adventure. Like it was like you can't even like I said, you can't make it up. Like it was definitely memorable for that was my first cruise. I've never been on a cruise before. That was my first cruise. So it was definitely memorable. So
your first and your last cruise?
Well, my wife started like, "We need to do a makeup cruise," and I'm like, "Well, let me recover from this one. First."
Right.
Like,
yeah. How about
so what happened to? Your family was still on the boat. Did they like get back on schedule, or did they end up like
Yeah,
Did
so
they?
they had like a day and a half left, about a day and a half by the time we'd gotten there. So they basically they turned course and went back. They literally dropped me and were like, that boat was out of there. Like, it was like, cause they were like, we got to be on schedule. Like, so it was like, get them off the boat. We're going, and, so they were moving pretty quick. And they ended up back in Florida. It was like on Saturday. That was on Thursday. And then they were back on Saturday, I think it was. So,
Okay.
so they stayed on. The reason they stayed on board was mainly because we went. You can go on a Disney cruise with just your birth certificate, right? We didn't have passports, so we went with our birth certificates, thinking, "Oh yeah, it'll be fine." Well, I was able to get through customs because of like a medical emergency kind of situation. But if my wife and kids had gotten off in Nassau, they would have had to get like an emergency passport, and it was a whole thing. So we were like, just stay. I was like, just stay on board. Hopefully I won't get stuck in Nassau. I'll get back to Florida. Like, we'll figure it out. So, but luckily, going back to the cruise insurance, to the trip insurance, get trip insurance, because within like 48 hours, they'd already paid for like my Nassau, like the flight. They'd already they're like, yeah, we used a credit card. They called me like, we used a credit card to pay for it. It's done, So, I mean, and that flight was like 25 grand just for the flight. So,
Jeez.
so it's worth the insurance was like less than $100 or something. So yeah.
I'm gonna sign up for that when we get off here. My
Yeah.
gosh.
Just
Cruise
do it.
insurance
Just do it.
and passport just in case.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'd be good to go.
Go get that gallbladder check before you take off on the
Go get my
cruise,
gallbladder
too.
check.
Yeah.
Everything we need to do.
I
Copays are
joked with
cheap,
them. I said,
man.
I was like, is there anything else that needs to come out of there, like before I go on another cruise? Like,
God.
Yeah. Let's go and
it's
get
like,
it all
let's
checked
not
out.
do this again.
Anything we don't need down there, just
Yeah.
just go for it.
Anything else you need to take out while you're in there, like, just go ahead and do that. So
So during the emergency, did they make you aware that it wasn't? They knew what the situation was. Basically, gotta get your gallbladder out. We gotta get you back stateside and get your gallbladder out. Or was there a panic of, I guess, life and death for a little while?
Well, no, I don't think it was a life and they never really made me feel like it was a life and death. The biggest issue was that I was clearly showing signs of an infection. And so, and they have limited ability of what they can and can't do on a ship,
Yeah.
like they can only do like x-rays and they can take blood work. Like there's certain things they can do, but they were like, we got to get you off here, because there was I can't remember what the number was. It was something with my blood work
Your
that was
blood
coming
count
back
was high.
insanely. It was so high that they thought their machine was broken. Like they were like, this is like way off the chart, like where it should be. It's something in regards to it was something in regards to my pancreas, which was their big concern, because that can be life threatening. And so they were like, we got to get you like to a hospital. We got to get you off this ship, and so that was the big reason why they didn't, I don't think they necessarily were concerned it was life threatening, but it could turn life threatening if they didn't get me to the proper. Yeah. So that was the biggest thing, was getting me to that medical care somewhere else. So yeah.
Well, glad you're all right, man. Welcome to the show.
Yeah. No
Yeah.
kidding.
Yeah. So that's the big adventure recently. So
That's the
wild.
story of how
what a
Derek is
cruise.
still alive and with us here.
What a
Yeah.
cruise.
Yep.
All right, so let's get into you've got the coolest signs and statues, and I watched your Instagram live the other night when you were showing the behind the scenes of how you were making stuff. Like, how did you get started doing any of this? Like, what got you going?
Artist by trade.
Yeah, so it's funny because I actually worked in education all my life. I was working at worked at a college when I graduated. I went to Virginia Tech. I graduated, went and worked at a university down in North Carolina. And then I ended up at like a residential high school in North Carolina where I was working. So nothing I would say was artistic, but I've always been artistic, like in terms of like creating things and making things. And while I was at that high school in North Carolina, I really got into making like props, like Star Wars props. And I'd been doing some of this before. I actually used to, I don't know if y'all are familiar with, there's a group called the 501st, which is like a stormtrooper brigade that goes around.
Yeah.
So I had my own armor. So I'd done some of that. I'd build an R2-D2. I had a full replica R2-D2 I'd built. that was remote controlled, and I would take him to conventions and things like that. So I kind of have always had like a tinkering and making and creating. And when I was at that high school in North Carolina, that was kind of my first exposure to 3D printing, where I was like, whoa, I can like come up with something and like make it. I was like, this is like, I could sculpt. I'd done sculpting and that kind of traditional thing, but I'm like, 3D printing was really like a big game changer for me. So I was able to make like helmets and like BB-8. I was making a BB-8 from, back when Force Awakens came out, and Boba Fett helmets and all, all kinds of things, a lot of Star Wars related props and things. We actually moved to Florida in 2017. Actually we moved here to help start a church. That was why we moved to Florida.
Okay.
And it had nothing to do with, I mean, we've been to Florida. We visited Disney. We were, my wife and I had grown, we'd not grown up, but as we dated, we would come down and take trips and things like that. But we came here to help start a church. And I actually took a job in education again while I was here. And a few months, I was miserable. I was in a cubicle making calls for a university. Like, it was awful. It was awful. And as a creative person, like, that's like soul sucking, it's like, I'm like, I just want to be making things, and so, there was a company that took a chance on me, a third party vendor that took a chance on me. And it was brutal work. Like, I was cutting fiberglass for Runaway Railway. Like, I was like outside and we were talking about how hot it is down here. Imagine summertime down here, full Tyvek suit, respirator, angle grinder, like me just cutting fiberglass pieces. And fiberglass is awful anyways.
Yeah.
And then in the heat. So I was doing that. Then I was making stuff for Galaxy's Edge, for Runaway Railway. I worked on the Edison. So lots of really cool projects. Like, I really just kind of like just jumped right into it, and really found I had a knack for it, obviously. Eventually, that's how I kind of got into what I'm doing now, which I ended up at Disney. I was mentioning to you guys, I ended up over at Disney working in figure finishing for a while. COVID happened. Like so many people down here, the industry just tanked, because there was no tourism. And so I lost my job, and that's when I started kind of creating the stuff you see that I create now. Like, I was just kind of sitting around. I was like, what am I going to do? Like, I've got to have something. There's no jobs. Like, there was nothing available really. And so I just started kind of making things for people, and it kind of snowballed from there. So that's kind of the Cliff's Notes version. There's a lot more there, but
Yeah.
So
How
what
big
took
of a
you down the
learning curve
Disney
was that
Avenue?
From what was that, Lena?
Yeah, so what took you down like the Disney Avenue? Was it the Star Wars passion? Was it the business opportunity? Like, what made you kind of lean more down the Disney street?
are you talking about like the stuff I've created,
Yes,
or
that you do now? Yeah.
honestly, I'll
Has this
tell you.
always
So
been a
what
love
really
for Disney, or?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, I've always had a love, especially for older Disney, old Epcot. I grew up, 80s, 90s. I was, so my family would we'd come down here for trips. So I grew up on a lot of like the older stuff. So, Horizons, World of Motion, all the old Epcot stuff. I love the old Epcot stuff. I was a big fan of Splash Mountain. Splash Mountain closed. And so the funny thing, what kind of spawned everything was, while I was sitting around during that summer, that was when they announced the of summer 2020 is when they announced, they were going to close Splash Mountain. And someone had posted a picture of that, "You May Get Wet," the Brer Rabbit, "You May Get Wet." And I was like, man, I love that sign. I wish I could own that. I was like, it's a really cool sign. Like, I'm like, obviously you're never going to get the actual one unless it ends up somewhere that you could buy it, but then it'd probably be a phenomenal amount of money. And so I was like, I kept thinking, it kept like eating in my brain. I was like, wait, I can make that. I was like, wait, I can make something like that. And so that's you can see it back here. That's that one there. That's kind of where it started, was just kind of like, what can you make? Like, what can you make? And the reason I love Disney, I love Universal, I like SeaWorld. I'm just a theme parks in general. I actually grew up. I'll tell you another one I love. It's kind of random, is Dollywood. I had season passes to Dollywood when I was growing up because I lived close to Dollywood. So I love Dollywood, like Blazing Fury. They used to have one called the Mountain Sidewinder. That was like this crazy, seemed like super dangerous, but it was fun. So I just love theme parks, like in general. So
Okay.
I mean, but Disney, because of the nostalgia of Disney and Universal, there's been a lot of nostalgic things you've seen me made that are kind of Universal related too. But so yeah, that's kind of why I went down that avenue. I mean, I'm kind of all over the place, in case you
Right.
can't tell, but so
So how big of a leap was it? I mean, learning curve wise, going from like what you were doing with Disney to like making all the stuff you are now, or you were pretty much ready to go?
there was when there's always like I always try like and it's funny because you can go back and look at where I started versus like kind of where I am now. And when I started in 2020, like I was learning a lot. I constantly like one of the biggest things, and I tell people this all the time, is like challenge yourself as like as if you're an artist or whoever. It doesn't have to be an artist, you can be anything, but like challenge yourself to do better. Like, so I'm always like, what's the next thing I can do that's going to be even more creative than like, you know what I mean? Like and I think that's what makes like good artists great. You know what I mean? Like, so like a lot of people get kind of stuck in a rut of like, like this is what I'm good at. I'm going to stay here. Like, and I do some of that, but like, I think it's good to challenge yourself to be like, I want to try to make a statue, or I want to try to make a, you know, 6 foot tall trident or whatever. That's what I'm working on now. Like a 6 foot tall trident, or like, whatever it is, like, like
Yeah.
challenge yourself to try to like do something that's different and like, just have fun with it. So, I wouldn't say it was more, I learned a lot in the jobs I had, in terms of, it was really more materials I learned a lot about. So I kind of had an idea of like how different things work, molding, casting, different aspects of things that now I can use kind of all together. So,
Okay.
yeah. Yeah.
Well, no, and I mean just your level of detail. Like I said, I watched your Instagram live the other day, and I think it was you had like I think it was a twister one maybe, and you were you
Yeah,
were down
Twister, yeah.
down to this. Yeah,
I've
down
got
to
it.
like the smallest details. You were like, I've got that little thing in there, but I don't know. Like we may put something else. Yeah, that is incredible.
Yeah, this is actually, it's one of my more recent ones. Yeah, it's pretty, this one's a fun one
That was one of
from
my wife's
university.
favorite. I was not as big a fan personally, but I'm not a weather guy. It's one of that's one of those. You know how there's a few rides that'll. I was that way with Twister. I was that way with Dinosaur. Just freak me out
You
a
didn't
little
like
bit.
Dinosaur?
I know it's. I got there as a kid. I was hands off.
So
I
worked,
do any roller coaster, but the dinosaur,
one of
the
my
animatronics would get me.
one of my primary things I did while I was over there is working down. It's funny because looking back, like I was telling someone recently, I worked in Animal Kingdom most of my time. Our team was split between Animal Kingdom and Magic Kingdom.
Mm-hmm.
I started in Magic Kingdom. I eventually got sent to Animal Kingdom, and I suspect it was because of Dinosaur, because the skins and stuff in Dinosaur were just insanely like huge, heavy, huge, big, it took a lot of like manpower to move those things around and stuff. But it's funny because I was kind of like you when it comes to Dinosaur. Like I think I grew to love it more, like because I got to work there,
Yeah.
and I grew an appreciation for like the amount of like how cool, like seeing it from that angle and seeing how cool that was, and like the level of like expertise that went into like, I mean, obviously it was 30 years old at that point almost, but like the amount of expertise and work that went into creating those things is incredible. But it's funny. I was like going back to what I was saying though, is I was telling someone like most of the things I worked on at Animal Kingdom like aren't even there anymore.
Yeah.
In a matter of years, like they're just gone, so because it's changed so much. So yeah.
That is wild, but I mean that's it's exciting as well for people. We're talking about so me and like kind of our background. I grew up. My family was annual pass holders. We went all the time. Landon never really went, and that's kind of we kind of come at it from different angles here. Where he's done it more with kids and stuff.
Last 3 years has kind of been
but he's really still in the like finding new stuff, and it super
very
exciting
elementary
and stuff,
with the knowledge and the whole Disney World deal. So
it's a little bit further between when I'm seeing new stuff.
Well, and it's funny because like it's kind of that Star Wars theory of like, there's that theory out there that Star Wars, like I didn't care for the prequels that much because I grew up on the originals. But then there's people that love the prequels because that's what they grew up on, right? So I think it's kind of the same way when it comes to the parks, is you kind of love the park that you grew up on, you know what I mean? So like I think there's different levels of like if you're coming in now, you may love like, you may be more into Tron and Guardians and those kinds of things versus like back in my day when it was like I said, it was, Universe Energy and Horizons and, these kind of older school. But back then it was mind blowing, because the technology everything was different back then. So now the technology has to meet that need of like, kids are different, adults are different now. We're inundated with this stuff. So they have to change it, So
Right.
yes, I think that it's a different love depending on when you kind of are into it,
Yeah,
Get
when you
that
said that earlier,
nostalgia
you were like
feel.
Horizons. I was like, I don't even know what that is. So that was an Epcot before
You
my
missed a good
time.
one. Horizons was a good one. It was one of my favorites that they got rid of. So the original Journey is really the peak that they got rid of. That's the one where I'm like, that
That's
one's
what I need to go
stuck. That
back and
one's
check
stuck in
out.
me. That's the
Little
thorn
bit,
stuck in my side.
little bitter about it still.
Yeah, I'm bitter about that one.
You have to get on the YouTube, fam.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to check it out on
Figure that
YouTube.
out.
We'll get done.
Yeah.
So so the stuff you make, what is your favorite? I mean, I know like you said, you're doing signs, statues, tridents. Like, do you have like a favorite design or theme or anything that you go for?
Oh my gosh, that's it's funny. I'll tell you my favorite thing I've been doing recently, and this is kind of all so totally unrelated really to like the signs, is the little kind of the little figures I've been making, the little they're like monsters and things like that, like the little kind of I made like a bird, the Orlando Informer bird, like I enjoy
Yeah.
I've kind of gone this thing. So my dad, I'll tell you, my dad was a computer guy for all of his life, and now he's retired. He started doing wood carving. And so I'm always fascinated seeing like the wood carve things he does. He does like cowboys and Santas and things like that. But I love the look of kind of that wood grain and so these figures I make, I'm trying to kind of emulate some of that of like kind of like making it look like an old school like wooden toy. And so I've really enjoyed those because there's a little bit more like creative freedom in it, because it's not like when it's something like, even for instance, that Twister, this doesn't exist anywhere. Like this was just something I kind of made up, right? Like it's just like
Right.
I drew it up in Procreate on my iPad and kind of was like, okay, this is sketch it up like it's kind of what I want, and then I go to work on it. So I like those things where it's something more of like my own brain, like versus just a pure on like replica of something. I can do replicas, it's not a big deal, but like I enjoy like something new, something created, So
Right.
so those are the more fun designs for me. Like, for instance, you see back here, like that, like that's you can't really see it real well, but the Big Thunder Mountain, like that was one of the first ones I did where I kind of like drew up something and then modeled it and was like, oh man, I really like how this looks, So I just enjoy those where it's more like something I came up with, So
No,
Now,
that's
are these
awesome.
signs? Are they 3D printed and you're painting them, or
yeah, so everything I do
everything?
is yeah, it's so a lot of it is it's mold and cast. Like it is originally, the originals are 3D printed. But then I usually will make a mold and cast them in like a resin, because the resin is going to be a lot more durable than
Right.
3D prints
Just
or
a plastic?
3D
Yeah.
prints. Yeah, it's a plastic. I have resin 3D printer as well, which is good for certain things. But in most cases, like just for durability, people put like stuff outside and things. And so I usually do them in like a resin. So the 3D printing is just, it's a tool. It's a tool in the kind of in the arsenal. You can see it. Actually, you can see this one running back here behind me. I don't even know.
Yeah.
It's printing. Actually, it's printing pieces of the staff for that trident I was talking about. I was like, what's running on that? But I do a lot of 3D printing, and they're constantly running. They're my best employees, So just keep them
About to
running.
say.
So
Cheap labor, man. Cheap labor.
yeah, it's cheap. Well, you have to pay the electricity is super cheap, but no, gosh, I've had these for years. I mean, I've had these for probably, I think, 3 or 4 years now. So
Okay. Just 24/7. Keep them rolling.
yeah, I keep them running as much as I can,
Now,
because
is that how that printer works? Can you queue up the next item you want it to print? You can just have it print for 3 days straight, just different projects.
no,
Essentially?
you'd have to remove the project that's on it, which only takes a few minutes. It takes 3 or
Okay.
4 minutes. Take the stuff off, clean the build plate, and then I can start something else. So
So you're probably spending a lot more time painting than
Yeah, so I hand paint. Everything is hand painted, like, and yeah, some airbrush and stuff like that. But I do hand paint everything, so like it is a very tedious, slow
All
process.
right.
But that's kind of, to me, the artistry of it is each piece, like each thing I make is kind of its own thing, right? So it's not like, it's not some mass produced something. Like I make each one, I paint it, like hand paint it, like, but it is yeah, it's a slow process. I just
So
finished up well, I've moved them, but I just finished up some of the confrontation billboards, earlier. I'm working on some stuff that's actually behind my computer here. So I've got stuff all over the place right now that I'm painting. So
So are you more
different stages.
are you more proud of your artistry when it comes to the painting side of it, or the creativity side of coming up with something from scratch, like the twister, like something you won't find anywhere else?
That's a good question.
Because
That's
obviously you
tough.
can paint. Obviously you're a really good painter. You're a really good artist when
Yeah.
it comes to the drawing, painting side of things, but you also have something up here that
I
a lot
mean,
of people don't
I
have.
think, yeah, I think they're both like equally rewarding. Like I think that, obviously they're two parts of the same system. Like, you know, just
Yeah, you can't have one
creating
without
the
the other either.
right, like, because especially, I'll tell you, like with like and I keep going back to the twister. It's harder, especially when you have something that's you're just kind of winging, not winging. I don't say I'm winging it. Obviously, I have some idea in my brain. I can visualize things a lot in my brain of like what I want it to look like, but until it's painted, I don't really know,
Mm.
So it's like I'm like, okay, like I kind of know I want red letters and I want this, and I kind of have to work. So like with the twister, I actually painted the background even a different color initially, and I was like, yeah, I don't love this. I need to change it. And so there's a lot of like back and forth between the two. Like the model can be great, it can look great, but then it's like if you do a terrible paint job on it, it's kind of So it's funny, like, and I get asked this all the time. People be like, would you send me a blank of something so I can paint it? They're like, would you send me a blank of this? And I'll paint it. And not to say that there are plenty of people out there that can paint. I mean, there are plenty of people out there that can paint, but to me, I'm like, I don't know, I'm so protective of the quality of what something comes out as that I'm like, I can't do that. Like, like I can't, because I don't want it to reflect poorly on me if it's not painted well. You know what I mean? Because it still would be like, well, that's something people would recognize as something I'd made, and they'd be like, ugh, that paint job's kind of bait and switch. So, so
Right.
I have to be really, and maybe that's me being too harsh on other, like too critical, um, but yeah, I'm very particular. So
Well, and even if they do a good job, you've still got your style.
Yeah, we
You
got a
know,
brand, and it's a
it's
finished product
hard
brand.
to.
It's
Yeah, I do videography for a living, and we I was talking with my boss the other day. Like, it's hard to go film something and then let someone else edit it, because
Hey,
you
Caleb,
take
will
every
you send
shot.
me a template that way I can do my own thing, man?
Yeah,
I
no,
mean, use your template, make a
I
movie,
can't.
dude.
Like, I've got a. And we were talking about the other day. So let me ask you this: like, having your brain gets to where it works that way. So like, I was talking with my boss about, you take your camera out somewhere and you're like, oh, I'm just gonna grab a shot or two. Well, then you end up like, oh, I got to get this shot and this shot and this shot. So are you like riding like all the rides, and like,
Yeah,
does your
dude, look
brain
at that
turn
3D
off,
printer.
or are
Look
you
at that 3D
constantly
printer.
like,
It's just
I need
running.
to make that, I need to make that, that would be cool. Like,
so it's funny. I've gotten to where now I yeah, I do. I go, and I actually don't really, I will say, I don't really go and ride rides and be like, I can make that and I can make that. I really don't anymore. I used to initially some of that, but, honestly, it's gotten to where now it's just kind of like, I just kind of as they come. Like, I just am like, okay, like there's an idea. Like I could do that, like, so it's more like, cause I found like I can tell you, especially having worked kind of in that field, you can ride rides and be so like hypercritical of things, because we had a term, back, we'd say bad show. That's bad show. And so, you'd ride through and be like, that's bad show. And so I've tried to like turn a lot of that off when I ride now and just enjoy, like just go and enjoy it. And, I have literally folders of like reference images and ideas and things where I'm like, I just dig into those at this point. And I'm
mm-hmm.
like, okay, like I can make that. Okay. I can make this. And like sometimes things will kind of come up. I try to stay in like a kind of a nostalgia ish area of things. Really, it seems like that's I enjoy that, but also it seems like there's a lot of people that enjoy that. So that's kind of where I tend to stick is like, okay, like this attraction's closing in 6 months. Like, let me think about something for that coming up. So like, for instance, you guys saw probably saw the Carousel of Progress. Like I'd been thinking about that actually back during my cruise. I did a bunch of magnets for my cruise door that were like extinct attractions. I made them like ghosts, and things. Cause I did a Haunted Mansion theme, but I had I was working on the John cause they just announced that they were going to change that, and I wasn't able to get it done, but it still stuck with me long enough where I was like, I got to get this done before they close it this week, so that's why I did that. So yeah, but I've got tons of ideas. Like I'll never run out of ideas. I don't think so.
Hey, you got any Toy Story ideas? I didn't see any Toy Story on your page.
Toy Story. So I do have one, but I'm not gonna tell you what it is.
You're an 80s kid, right? You're 80s. You said
I'm more of an 80s kid. Yeah. I love Toy Story. I remember Toy Story back in the 90s. But
he was like too cool for school, like a teenager when it was coming out.
Yeah. I do have one idea for Toy Story that I haven't done yet. That's more park related though. But I haven't gotten there yet because I gotta kind of think it out a little bit. So.
Yeah. I'll be looking forward across the page for sure.
Let Landon know when you do, because we gotta.
I have my eyes peeled. I'll be getting notifications.
Disney game behind him. We're still on the dirt bikes.
It'll pop up eventually.
Yeah, I'll be looking out for it. So what do you? I know you're making these signs for. You have a heck of an Instagram account, and you have, it looks like maybe some VIP access areas on Instagram, and maybe I saw it on your Facebook page as well. I never saw a storefront. You're not selling these signs. You're doing this for your own content, right? Giveaways, stuff like that as well.
No, I do some. I do some of them. It's not everything you see is something I do that I sell. Like for instance, like I posted it's kind of 50-50. Like I enjoy creating a lot of these things, but I'm like, this is unrealistic to like make for people. You know what I mean? Like, so I have a lot of like, and I can't talk too much about it, but I do a lot of commission work for some bigger clients and things. So, so that's kind of where the bulk of what I do is. I'll say the bulk of it, but I have stuff I do for other people. So, so that's kind of where my work is typically.
Gotcha.
I do some signs. I do sell some, but not very many. So,
yeah, I heard you mention you were going to like a market or something.
Yeah, I am going to do a market coming up, and this is the first time I've done one since 2021, probably. I think it was.
Okay.
And we'll see. People have been asked, like honestly, the only reason I really want to do that is because I enjoy meeting people, people that follow me and stuff. Like I enjoy like that interaction and talking with people and getting to know them and stuff. Cause being behind a computer screen, being on Instagram and stuff, it's like, there's a, like, we talked about this earlier, but like before we kind of started recording, there's kind of a false sense of like, people knowing who you are and what you do and that kind of stuff. So kind of meeting people in person, I think is a more personal way to kind of interact, so, that's mainly why I'm doing the market really, is to have that interaction. And, cause I love, like, there are people that have been following me since. It's funny because, and I actually meet up with a few of them and have like, we'll go like, contemporary and grab, dinner and things like that because they follow me for years since, I started. And it's funny because they watch like we talk about like my kids growing up and they've got kids and stuff. So, it's a good little community that's built around like the things I've created, and so I love that. So.
I was going to ask that. I don't know how Festival of the Arts works, but I've seen your product and it is definitely something good enough to have a booth at Festival of the Arts. Would that ever be something that you'd be interested in?
So, I don't know that process. So
I don't even know if you invite only, who knows, but
I think it is very invite only from what I understand.
I'm sure.
What little bit I do know. And so, it's one of those things where it's like, somebody wants to invite me. Sure. Like I'm happy to, I'm happy to hop in. I'm honestly like going back to what I was talking about. I'm blessed that like, as an artist, and I've talked about this before on stories and things I've had, but, like for people to just enjoy what I create, you know what I mean? Like, I think like, and Caleb, you were talking about how you're a videographer and stuff, like people being able to enjoy that final thing that you create, like that to me is the most rewarding aspect of any of it, I just love making stuff. And like, to me, it's exciting to show it off, so I'm like, I get really excited. I'm like, oh, I'm going to do, and I come up with these like crazy video ideas and stuff. And I'm like, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do this. And sometimes I execute them, sometimes I don't. It just depends. But just the final show off of it and people enjoying it and being like, oh man, like I remember that, or it's kind of striking up some memory in them, so I really love that. Like that to me is, bigger than anything really. So,
Well, and it's exciting to see what people vibe with and what they don't, and try to find that. So, like we've talked about, like you've, and thank you by the way, you've reposted some of like our Grandpa Disney videos that we make, and like some of them, it's like, wow, like I didn't realize people even liked that, and then I'll make one and it's like, oh, this is gonna crush, and it's like, oh. Sure
yeah,
didn't.
and it's funny.
Like,
It's funny how the internet's so like that too. Like you'll make something, I'm like, oh man, this is the one, this is it, and then you
Yeah.
post it, and it's like, you didn't do that well. I love those the grandpa things. It's funny because I feel like that's me explaining to my kid. It's like me
Right.
trying to tell my kid, like they used to have fast passes, they were paper, and I'm like, he's like, what?
we literally
Like,
pulled out. We still have some old fast passes, and like we're just trying to explain it to my son. We're like, it's like an ATM machine. And he's like, a what?
yeah.
He's like,
What? Like,
okay.
how did you get you had to like you had to run and get one? Like what?
Yeah,
Like
it
that's
doesn't
so.
make any sense.
He's like, I
Yeah.
don't get that.
He had to pull it out and
So,
show it to
yeah,
me
I
on the
love-
podcast. He's like, dude, it's like a paper, and I was like, no way. I'm so new
Yeah, I
to
know,
the
you're like,
Disney thing.
that-
So
that
what on
was
the
thing,
phone?
man,
What?
and there was a whole system, there was a whole system on working that, like how you got that you go get this one, and you did once you're done, they go to get this one, so it was a whole thing, and it was like, now I got to have your phone out all the time, so
Yeah, it's unfortunate, but somebody did make the comment on one of the Grandpa Disney. I think it was actually this morning, and they made the comment of how much they missed it and all that, but then they were like, it really was more survival of the fittest. Like if you have any kind of like disability or something, like I'm sorry, you're not getting a fast pass. Like,
that's true. That's true. DAS people would be really upset with that old system.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
they'd be like, whoa.
I guess they had DASK. I guess they did have. They
Right,
could do
but
that.
I mean, if you but back then they were a little less. They were probably more lenient back then on it too versus
You
now.
just got
so.
a little bit of a limp, you're in trouble. Like,
Yeah,
If
yeah.
you twisted the
you're not
ankle
getting back
earlier in the
there
day.
time. Yeah, you're not riding Space
You don't
Mountain.
even-
I'm sorry.
You don't even remember me. It's like you don't remember how bad it was. I twisted my ankle running the Tower of Terror one day. You
Yeah.
don't even know. Like,
Yeah,
no.
you just had to wake up 3 days beforehand and book your lightning lane. You're good
yeah,
to go.
yeah, for real.
That's funny.
No, I love those videos. Those videos are great. Like every single one of them, I'm like, yep, that's it. That's
You have
it.
a good time with them.
Y'all both have a very similar, like the creativity of the mind. I don't have that, so it's very impressive to see. I told Caleb with his Grandpa Disney stuff, he comes up with. I'm like, I can't comprehend how you can even come up with something like this. Like I don't have the creative mind that both of y'all have. So
That's why I told him mental illness. Maybe I'm not sure.
I'll tell you, it's internet brain. Like you start to you watch enough videos and your brain's like, this is how people work. And then you're like this is how I am. Like, so I'll give you a good, for instance, I don't know if you saw the Miss Piggy. Did you see the fake one I did? The Miss Piggy, Piggerty rack, like I found it in the Goodwill.
Yes.
Yeah, people were losing their minds over that. Like, especially on Twitter. I didn't even post the video on Twitter. I just posted images of me carrying it in the parking lot, and people were like losing their minds. But I was like, I will post this, and people will believe it because people are like so gullible. Like, and I mean, not to be like mean towards people, but like I was just like, this will be funny because people will die. Like most of the people that follow me knew, like they know my sense of humor.
you
They
rage
know,
baiting
like,
folks.
okay.
You rage baiting them.
Yeah. Oh, I did rage bait a little. Yeah. But I'm like, people that follow me pretty much know. They're like, okay, yeah, like he's pulling a fast one. But it still was just funny. Like, it's like, but it's like the internet brain in me where it's like, this is what people will love this. So I was like, okay, I'll do that, so,
Just working backwards from the end result.
yeah, that's what you have to kind of do though. Somewhat like you have to kind of like think about what's going to get people to engage. Not that I'm not like trying to be like a social media. Like I'm not trying to be some giant social media. I just enjoy sharing my stuff. So it doesn't matter. I don't have to gain a bunch of followers or whatever. It's fun. It's fine. But I just enjoy sharing it. But But I, like you were saying earlier, I kind of like, I'm so like particular about how I curate my page. Like I want it to look a certain way and stuff. So I'm like, I always have like a certain type of image. It's like the kind of the front of it. And, so I have a whole thing. If you went back and saw now, they're deleted now, but if you saw my first like year's worth of posts, they were so bad. They were so bad. So like, it took me a while to get into that.
I believe it. That's where we're at. Yeah.
Yeah.
We try something new every week just to, throw it at the wall and see what sticks.
Yeah.
We started with making what, 3 random memes a week.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did. We started off as a meme page.
Yeah, it changes so fast too. That's the problem, is like something that's trending now in 2 weeks, it can be totally different, so you just have no idea. So
yeah.
So
let's hear it, Caleb. What's your favorite piece he's got? Did anything stick out to you on the Instagram page?
My favorite one that I saw recently was I'm drawing a blank on what the little guy's name is, but when I thought about it, because we were talking about Muppets the other day. Landon evidently never saw Muppet Vision 3D, which blew my mind.
Oh no!
But the little I'm bouncing on people's heads.
Like
I can't remember
what. He's had that hidden.
That's it.
He's had that hidden the whole time.
Hold on. Just so happens, I've got stuff sitting everywhere around
Landon
here.
is going to go over your head. Yeah, that guy. Love that guy.
That's the people's head.
I know nothing about Muppets. Yeah, nothing about Muppets.
So I was talking about hand painting things. So this is what that they look like before I paint them. So
okay,
and then
that's the final.
That's the final.
I love that, and I love your what was it? The Mummy. Was it like a billboard or sign for the Mummy
so you were talking about how things like sick. People, it's funny, you're talking about how like things people like you don't know what people are going to be into. I made that one because I was like, this could be fun to make. Like it was kind of like okay, I'll make this could be fun. Like I just kind of have been bouncing through different attractions and things on the billboards, I've been making. And I made that one, and that was like probably the most popular one I've ever made, like in terms of like the reaction on Instagram, which blew my mind, because I'm like, the Mummy? I mean, I love the Mummy movies. The attraction is kind of aged, but yeah, people loved that one. Like that one it went like thousands upon thousands of likes and stuff. And I was like, whoa, like I'm shocked that this is such a big deal. So yeah. And people love the little keychain guy, the little Reggie guy. I don't have one around here, but the little Mummy guy made from it too. I don't know if you saw those.
They were like that one.
Yeah. It was like a little keychain, like with a magnet actually, but people love that too. So yeah.
So most of your stuff is nostalgic. Do you ever do any like I say you've got like the Muppet Vision 3D with it disappearing? Are you doing any like Muppet coaster stuff? So
I did, and I can't grab it, but I actually made. I have all these designs. I was talking about this with a friend actually recently, about how I have literally boxes of stuff up here that I've 3D printed that I've not done anything with. So I did a rock and roller coaster design, gosh, a year and a half ago. Never painted it. It's just been kind of sitting. It's kind of almost, it's very billboard-ish looking. And so it's been sitting on the shelf for 6 months. And it's funny because I was like, okay, I'm going to get this done before Rock and Roller Coaster closes, but then I never got around to it. So now I'm like, I'm going to paint this to look like the Muppet one, but it's still sitting there. So we'll see.
Okay.
We'll see where we get to. I don't typically do new stuff, but I love Muppets. I'm a huge Muppet fan. I love Muppets. So you can see like in the background, there's like a Miss Piggy back here. There's the 3D there from Muppet. This is actually signed by one of the Imagineers that worked on one of the main Imagineers that worked on Muppet Vision. So,
okay.
So I love Muppets. I was a sucker growing up for the Muppets. So
I am too.
I'll probably do some more.
That's an interesting one for me. It doesn't feel. Yeah. Okay. Landon's never seen.
It's
Muppets
a weird.
In his life. He doesn't. I tried to get him to name a Muppet the other day, and he couldn't do it.
Yeah, I never seen it.
But it almost doesn't feel new. It feels more like just the combination of two. You know what I mean? Like they shut down the Rock and Roller Coaster and the Muppets, and like, hey, we're throwing these bad boys together. And I mean, I think that I haven't ridden it yet, so I don't know. But I do think that like my biggest gripe with that is the accessibility of Rock and Roller Coaster for people, especially for kids, versus Muppet Vision. Like your
you're not going to, it's a particular audience is going to ride Rock and Roller Coaster. And I've heard it's good. Like I've heard people really enjoy it and they like the animatronics they put in and everything. Um, but it's an odd pairing to me. It's an odd pairing, but I'm sure it's good. Like I said, I haven't got to ride it yet, but yeah.
Nah, it looks awesome.
Yeah.
No, I would love. I think I told Landon this a few weeks ago. I would love it'll never happen. I want a Muppets resort. I want them to make a Muppets resort. You can put Muppet Vision
Oh,
3D in it if you want, but like, just go nuts with give it a
it
Muppets
just,
something.
it feels like they don't quite know what to do with the Muppets. Like that's like
Yeah,
my biggest gripe is it's like the Muppets could be a huge property for them if they lean into what makes it popular, but it feels like they're kind of like, I don't know what to do with this, you know? So, um, I mean, hopefully they'll figure it out. I mean, I enjoyed the recent show they did, you know, the kind of that pilot they made here a few months ago.
yeah.
So, so we'll
I
see.
didn't.
We'll see
Yeah,
what
I
they
didn't
do
really
with it.
realize the following the Muppets had till I started seeing the YouTube videos of this of Rock and Roller Coaster. I just they have their own entourage, really, like as a whole group of folks that just are Muppets folks, and I
Yeah.
didn't really realize that. It's
And it's huge. Like when Muppet Vision was closing, you know, you've seen, I made a lot of different things that were from Muppet Vision, that I created, you know, like I created the sign and I made the Kermit statue, like a bunch of things that were kind of from that area. And it's funny how many people I've befriended. You're talking about that. Like it's a huge community and they're really cool people. They're all really, really good people. Um, but I befriended a lot of them through the closing of Muppet Vision because I went to like one of the meetups they had, and I took these like chains. I don't know, you probably may not have seen them, but I made these like kind of turnover chain kind of things with like Muppet characters on them and stuff to give to people, and so it was just a lot of fun. Like you know, I enjoy that. Going back to what I was talking about community, like to me, it's one of the coolest aspects of like social media and things is how you can like kind of build a community around the things that you love, you know, like the things
Right.
that you're into. And that's why people gravitate like towards you guys with the like the grandpa and all that stuff. Like it's stuff that they love and they enjoy, so they gravitate towards that. And so that's kind of the same thing with Muppets. I feel like is it's like there's this whole subset of this community that just love Muppets, and it was really cool to kind of tap into that and meet some of those people and really just really good people. I mean, they to this day, plenty of them like you know we message and stuff. So it's really cool. So
No, 100%. No, and that's why I think that was one of the more surprising things of us doing a podcast. It's like we're in Alabama, so it's hard to walk outside and find the other Disney nerds. They're not just out there like they were when lived in Orlando, but get to chit chat with people and find
I
that
guess that's
common ground.
I guess that's really what's cool too about the whole Disney universe in general too. Is we're all big Disney fans, and there's so many different avenues that we can venture down that we might not necessarily go down together. Like I'm definitely going down the one that's with the dad crew and maybe the more Toy Story and adrenaline theme park side of that avenue. And then there's the nostalgia crew, there's the Muppets crew, there's the Star Wars crew, there's all these different groups inside this big group. And it's really cool to see it. If I'm just now opening my eyes to this whole thing, and it's crazy. It's really crazy how many people are involved in this and fans
yeah,
of
and
it. And
it's really cool to me because like you do get to meet so many like you said, just different avenues of people that, um, you know, it's funny because I tell people, I'm like, you know, you don't have to love everything. I know people aren't going to love everything I'm creating. You know, I know there's a lot of people like that are like, why is he making Universal billboards? You know, like he used to make, you know, Figments or whatever, you know, like he used to do these things and now he's doing this. Like, and that's because like, I enjoy like I'm kind of gotten to the point where I'm like I do things like if I'm passionate about something, I know I can make it the best thing. You know, like that's my thing is I'm like, so if it's something I'm into, I know it's going to translate in whatever I create. So I can't just like stick in one particular
Mhm.
lane. Of course that's the ADHD brain probably too. But that's kind of it's cool though because it's really opened so many different groups of people, and I love that. Like I love that like there's a community of people that enjoy what I make. And I have plenty of Disney people that are like, I'm not really into the Universal, but I love it. Like I love that you put this kind of level into it. So, you know, there's just some really cool communities out there within, like you said, the subsets of like there's, the people are always down on the Disney adult, but I'm like, there's so many cool people within those like Disney adult community that have such similar interests, and so that's what I love. Like, so,
No, totally agree. Well, and I mean, yeah, and I've been a part of, I've been following you for a good while, and glad to be a part of your little community. Landon, you got any other burning questions for Derek?
No burning questions. I didn't realize
Regular questions.
No burning questions, no regular questions. Just because maybe some commentary. I didn't realize when you pointed to the Big Thunder piece. In my head, I just maybe assumed it was like belt buckle size. I don't know why, but that's a huge piece. Like I don't know why I had it as maybe a smaller piece of art. And what is it?
Yeah,
it's a 10, 12 inches big, like tall.
It's actually probably. I would say it's probably about 14 inches tall.
So it's a huge piece.
Yeah, scaling, it's hard to tell because it's back on the wall back here.
Right.
But most of what I create is anywhere like 12 to 16 inches ish, depending on, I mean, that's all, it's always, but that's the general rule of thumb is I kind of keep it in a scale in that area. Because, to me, like, it's like, you want to be able to show it off on a wall. So I'm like, like, if you can hang them up on the wall and put multiple ones on the wall, like kind of like, oh, I really enjoy this and I like this and this. So it's kind of like, kind of an art gallery on the wall versus like a magnet. A lot of people assume it's like a magnet. They're like, is that a magnet? And I'm like, no, it's way bigger than a magnet. So, plus it's a lot easier to paint at this scale than a magnet.
It's easier to paint too. If it's
absolutely
as well.
Yeah. It's a lot easier to do detail on something that size versus something that's like a magnet, so
now tell me this, it looks like a lot of your pieces are flat art, but I saw the Splash Mountain statue being, it's not flat art, it's a full circle. And is that a lot more difficult, or is it just a different technique?
So
obviously it's more difficult because it's more to it.
Yeah. But... and I'll grab something here. Hold on. This is a good example. It's sitting behind here. So, so the reason that I typically stick to flat is just for sake of ease of painting. Like I was talking, going back to like molding and casting, like molding something that's flat versus something that's dimensional is a lot easier. It'd be really hard to mold this because it's a chair and all that stuff and all the end cuts and things. So I kind of typically stick to flat things. I do some statues and things like that here and there, but it's pretty much flat stuff. So, because when you get into something like this, it's a lot trickier to make a mold of it. I can't really mold this very easily. So, yeah, this one's just a one-off 3D print. So he's just 3D printed, and then I painted him bronze. So.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, there's a lot more wall space than there is desk space to set stuff too. So.
And that's true too, right? That's true too. It's easier to hang something versus like you have to have shelf space or desk space or whatever for something that's dimensional like that. I've done some things like, and this is kind of like a hybrid. Here's an example of like, this is from Poseidon over at Islands Adventure, but kind of like a little bit. It looks very like statuish, but it's flat on the back. So it's easier. Like I can make a mold of this and I don't have the full 3D. So it's really kind of a matter of like the molding process really, which can be complicated for 3D things. So, or like some of the figures I make, like this would be hard to create with a mold because it has undercuts and stuff on it. So, yeah, that's mainly why I stick to the flat kind of, and like you said, my initial kind of when I first started was signs. Like I want it to be stuff people can hang on their walls. So it's just easier to have a flat back because you're not going to see the back of it anyway. So you just, put it against the wall. So
I guess I do have one more burning question since you asked. So I know how artists are. You don't have one favorite piece, but we're not ending the show until you say, what is your favorite piece that you have done?
Oh,
just say, you gotta say, my favorite piece is, Don't give me this artist. I know how the artist game goes.
So I'm going to say, and it's not my most complicated piece. It's
Here
not
it goes.
my,
Here it goes.
but it's the original. This guy up here, and because it was the one I created because I wanted it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean everything I create because I want it. Like I'm like I want to. You can see I display them. Like I put them up on the wall. I display them. But I created that one because that was really the thing. It's like I want this, and it was the first thing I made where I was like, wow, like I feel like I could do more of this stuff. Like it was really like okay, like I learned a lot like doing this. Okay, let's see what I can do. So and that one, the cool thing about this one particularly up here, these two pieces are signed by Tony Baxter. So um I had him sign that one a couple of years ago, and then he signed this one this year because he worked on both of those attractions. So and then I actually gave him one of these as well, one of the Brer Rabbits. So he has the Brer Rabbit in his house on display. And so
How
that
cool is
I'm really
that?
proud of that one. I'm really proud of that one. Like that, and like I said, it's not because it's I've done some of these billboards and stuff that are like way more detailed and I mean I love them, but I think that's probably my favorite. So
Now, is that the start to the Satisfactual Sign Co. essentially?
it is, and I'll tell you a funny story. I'm gonna just real fast. So if you look here, this is actually the original, and it's not as detailed. You can't really see it that well, but it's not as detailed. And that was the first 3D thing like I'd really made, and was like, okay. And then I went back to the drawing board and was like, I can do better. So I did this one, and this is the one that really like. That's the reason I kind of lean more into this one. I keep this is my first. This is the first. This right here is the first ever sign I ever made, like right there. So I keep it on my wall because it's the first one I ever made. But that's the one I'm probably most proud of because it really showed my progression of like, okay, I can go from this to this. What else can I do? So yeah.
I guess
Caleb,
we should
feel like-
probably also say it's Brer Rabbit for anybody listening on Apple or Spotify.
Brer
No,
Rabbit.
check
I'm
us out on
sorry,
YouTube.
know,
You won't know until you
we
watch
might ought to
YouTube.
say what we're talking
That's
about.
true.
Too. I
It's
just
the
realized,
Brer
yeah.
Rabbit you may get wet. Yeah, the Brer Rabbit you may
Yeah.
get wet. And it's funny because I don't know if you guys saw, one of the things that really took off was I did some other versions. I don't know if you can see him back here, but I did some other versions of the You May Get Wet sign when they changed it to Tiana's. I was like, they put these like really generic, like Canva made, like You May Get Wet signs up in the queue. And I was like, what? Like there was so much whimsy in like the signage of Splash Mountain. Why wouldn't you create some of that for Tiana's? Like you have Louie, and you have Ray, and all these like really popular characters. So I actually made a You May Get Wet sign with Ray on it. And did it as like a let me grab it. I can grab
Yeah.
it. So this is
Oh, that's awesome.
So I'm really proud of
love
that too,
that.
because yeah. So I was like, I can't believe they didn't. I did one with Louis as well, but I don't have it over here. But I was like, I can't believe they wouldn't lean into like. I know they were trying to kind of like distance from the Splash. I get that, but I'm like, there was a level of like you can lean into it and have some I
Mhm.
think a tasteful throwback, but it not be like a callback more than anything. And so I made that one because I was like, oh man, it's missing this. Like it needs something like this. So I made a couple of different ones. I made one with Louis as well. But I'm actually, and it's funny now, I'm actually working on a You May Get Wet sign for something else, but that's a whole other, I haven't posted that yet. That'll be coming. So, but yeah.
That's so
But
cool.
anyways,
Yeah.
the You May Get Wet was really, the Ray one I was really proud of, but the Brer Rabbit's my favorite. So
No, that's
yeah.
the perfect hybrid of the throwback with the new. I love that.
yeah, yeah.
All right, one more for you, unsigned related, before we go. All the new stuff we've got opening, the Cars Land, the Villains Land, the whole thing, Monsters, Inc. What are you most excited for?
It's a tough one. I'm going to go actually completely away from all those, and I'm going to say Indiana Jones.
Okay.
And I think that's
you got the Indy right
because,
behind you.
yeah, I think that like, I'm not super excited. I'm not a big Encanto guy. I'm not big into Encanto. I think that land has potential to be beautiful. I think the carousel could be beautiful that they're doing there if it stays somewhere in line with the concept art we've seen and stuff. But I think Indy has potential to be really fun. Like like I was saying about Dinosaur grew on me a lot its later years. And I think that they could really do something cool there. Hopefully we'll do something cool there with Indy. So yeah. So that's probably my one I'm looking forward to most. Villains Land. I'm not a big Cars guy. Villains. Hopefully,
It's nostalgia, man.
What Cars?
No, you're just a nostalgia guy. You're not worried about Encanto, monsters, cars, nice and new stuff. That's for the new kids on the block. I'm taking you back to Indiana Jones.
Well, I'll tell you, like the Villains Land idea sounded good to me, but the more that I've seen about it, and the more that kind of seems to be kind of trickling, like I'm like, I don't know.
Kind of seems like they're not sure. Kind of what you were talking about.
Yeah, it kind of feels like, and maybe it'll surprise me, but right now it feels like they're not even sure what they're building there yet. Like I don't know, and I'm like, what are we doing? Like, I mean, and I know that we don't find out until the last minute usually, but I'm like, it's one of those, I laugh about it all the time. And I know this is such a running joke, but like they blue sky something and then they're like, well, now how do we make this? It's like, they're like, yeah, this is what we're going to do. And then they throw some concept art out there and the engineers and stuff are like, we can't do that. They're like,
whoa, guys, where did y'all get that
we
from?
can't have stuff hanging like that, or what? And so they're like, how? All the engineers and people on the back end are like, how do we make that? What do we do with this? So
they're seeing it for the first time with all of us.
They're like build. I feel like the Villains Land's kind of like that, where it's like they're like, it's going to be something. I don't know, but
yeah,
so
100%.
So they're like, yeah, we could definitely do those colors. We'll work around the colors y'all have on the theme.
Work around the road.
We could probably do the colors, but I don't know about the rest.
We'll get the colors close, but the rest we'll figure that out later.
I love concept like blue sky concept art cracks me up, and in all the parks, not just Disney, all the parks do this. They throw out something and it's like it's all obviously very deliberately vague, and you're like, well, that looks like a roller coaster over there, but it could just be like somebody wanted a squiggly line. It's like it's always funny to me. And then you have the internet sleuths that are like, well, this is what it is, and I'm like, let's pump the brakes, like we don't know yet, So
they don't know yet. We don't know yet. They don't know.
That's what I'm saying. They don't know. We definitely don't know. So,
yeah.
So we'll see. We'll see. But I think Indy will be probably, from a nostalgia perspective, I think that's what I'm most excited about. So, yeah.
I'm with you. I'm excited for that one. But yeah, Derek, man, can't thank you enough for coming on and for just love following your work and all the detail and passion that you put into it. It's fun to watch for sure. So
thank you guys.
I appreciate you doing what you're doing.
Yeah, thanks for coming on.
Thank you. Yeah, absolutely. Anytime.
Now shout out where these folks can check out your work. So
you can follow me. Basically, I have every social media. Now, which ones I update best are probably Instagram and Twitter and Facebook. So Satisfactual Sign Co. I think it's pretty much the same across all of them. I think Twitter, it's like Satisfactual SC. I don't know why. But you can find me. Just put in Satisfactual, you'll probably find me. So
awesome, guys. That's going to wrap it for this episode. Make sure you give us a follow wherever you get your podcast, whether it's Apple or Spotify. Subscribe to us on YouTube. Check us out on Instagram. Like, comment, follow us. Shoot us a DM if you got any comments or questions, and we'll catch y'all next time on the Wildest Dads in the Wilderness. Later.
See y'all.